Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be looking into what crime is as a social construct, and why people commit crimes. For the majority of us, it's relatively easy to give an answer to the question, what is crime? And of course, the simplest way to describe it is that when someone commits a crime, they're breaking the law that has been created for many reasons. A crime is punishable by law. It's an act which is not only illegal, but also immoral, evil, and dangerous. It tells a lot about a particular person's personality and character if they commit a crime. However, there are holes within the law, little potholes that allow certain acts to be technically not against the law, even though some people think that they should be. There's no way that our laws cover everything that it needs to, which leads me to say that there's absolutely no question that the law needs to be updated in order to keep up with the forever changing society. And plus, there's always those people who are above the law, those who no matter what they do, they seem to get away with it, or they would get a lesser sentence than others would, for one reason or another. It appears that the law is almost like the video I did not too long ago on our prison system, mainly because I find that they're both outdated and very selective in terms of who they choose to help and who they do not. So a big question here is, will we ever get the law right, and will we ever be able to please everybody? I don't think it comes as a surprise to people when I say, no, probably not. From what I could understand, there's two different meanings for the word crime. The first one being the definition that you will find in the dictionary, which is the one that I've spoken about in this video so far, basically stating that it's an immoral and evil act that is against the laws of the country that you are in. The second one is much more personalised to specific individuals, as the word crime could depend on what that particular person sees as right or wrong. Crime could have several different meanings amongst different religions, races, countries, and individuals. Breaking the law and committing a crime is regarded as being a social construct, and this is what that second interpretation of crime links in with. To put it simply, our behaviours can become a crime, depending entirely on the world's different backgrounds, cultures, and societies. Whether or not that person's actions are actually illegal makes no difference within a social construct, as the public make judgments based on personal opinions. There's no denying that the public have a lot of power, and often what is seen as right or wrong stems directly from our society. I actually found a very interesting little essay on this and would definitely recommend it to you if you're interested. It will be linked along with all of the other sources used to create this video in the description box down below. But to quote the article, as a philosophical orientation, social constructionism holds that the meaning of acts, behaviours and events is not an objective quality of those phenomena, but is assigned to them by human beings in social interaction, meaning, in other words, is socially defined and organised and therefore is subject to social change, end quote. For an example of crime as a social construct, we need to look at homosexuality. That was indeed once a criminal offence, as many of you will know, and people would often even go to the lengths of murdering those who liked somebody of the same sex as themselves. However, as time has passed and the majority of society has changed, it is now no longer a crime in many countries and is typically widely accepted. Though in religion, homosexuality is still a very controversial and sensitive act. Moving on now, and unfortunately we see crime as a normal everyday part of our lives. And now more than ever, we have developed a strong distaste for the authorities, and on top of that, we don't even have anywhere near as much respect for them as previous generations did. Crime is on the rise around the world, and it's actually no surprise, and media outlets are constantly covering it. Not to mention that our authorities are seeing a drastic decrease in funding, which isn't helping anyone other than the criminals themselves, who are obviously much more likely going to get away with crimes. I know that here in the United Kingdom we are becoming quite obsessed with crimes, as we have many crime shows like, for example, Police Interceptors. Are those kinds of shows raising awareness for crimes in the UK, or are they just encouraging those who want to commit to actually commit? It's an incredibly confusing concept. Are we afraid of crime, or are we obsessed by it? Or is it a strange combination of both of those? Why people commit crimes is down to many factors like finances, gender, class, personality, and race. For example, there are much more low-income families here in the United Kingdom than ever before, and there's also an increased amount of us in debt and struggling to pay our bills. This is just one of the reasons some of us may feel like they have to turn to crimes like stealing in order to provide, not just for themselves, but their families as well. Others, however, just unfortunately seem to enjoy committing crimes. When deciding on the intent of a criminal offence over in America, the Model Penal Code comes into play. One of the biggest principles of law in general is that for someone to be found guilty of a crime, there must be a guilty act, and also a culpable mental state. There are currently 4 main elements of a culpable mental state. These are purposely, knowingly, recklessly, and negligently. These are all pretty obvious in their definitions, but let's just quickly go over them anyway. The purposely state is when someone purposely engages in a crime. Knowingly means that a person has knowingly taken part in an illegal offence. Recklessly is when a person may know what they are doing is risky but chooses to disregard the risks and consequences in order to complete their reckless task. And finally, we come to negligently. When someone acts negligently, it means that they should have been aware of the potential risks. But now let's just look into a stereotype of who commits the most crimes. Often, low-income families get the blame of committing the most crimes. Many look at crimes committed by low-income members of the public and see it as an act of rebelling against inequality. The Marxist theory is a very interesting one, as he believes that, quote, "Men make their own history, but they do not make it just as they please. They do not make it under circumstances chosen by themselves, but under circumstances directed, encountered, given and transmitted from the past," end quote. Within Marxism's theory of crime, crime is committed because of capitalism, and business crime is ignored all too often. An interesting quote from a piece entitled "Making Sense of Society" explains that under this theory, quote, "Marxist agrees that business crime is largely ignored by the legal system. There are some well-published exceptions, but these tend just to reinforce the impression that criminals are mainly from the working classes and that business criminals are not real criminals. They're just doing what everyone else does." So I think that's going to be it for today's video. I could have spoken about this topic for forever, for a very long time, but I didn't want this video to be too long. So let me know what you guys think of the Marxist theory in particular. Do you think that he's correct when he says that business crime is often ignored and that when working class families commit crimes, they are rebelling against inequality within society? It's very interesting. If you like this video, make sure to leave it a thumbs up. If you're new here, click on that subscribe button. All of the sources will be linked in the description box down below that we used to create this video, so you're more than welcome to go and check them out if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.